Okay, this is a re-recording of Drake Tax's practice return number 4. Since I had a little mess up on there, maybe I should have told you, maybe I shouldn't, doesn't really matter. Anyways, I'm going to redo this. Practice return number 4. What makes this different is that these practice returns are on Drake Tax's website, but I created fake tax documents so it seems more real of what you'd receive from the client and how to prepare the tax return, or at least how I would prepare the tax return. So this is the tax organizer, where the basic information is like background, full-time student, driver's license, indicated that they had 2 or 3 W-2s, some 1099 dividends, and also one of them went to school, and gave the relevant information so you can fill out the tax return. So I usually start off with the W-2s, and this one is for person's name is Strawberry. This is exactly what you would get from a W-2, or at least the box looks really similar. Wages, federal tax that was withheld. This is for the state in Maryland. Another thing that I did differently is I actually did the state tax return as opposed to Drake Tax. They tell you to suppress the state tax return, but I include it since it makes it more real in my opinion. Here's that. Here's the other W-2, and then the third W-2 for the spouse. Wages, taxes withheld, state. Here is their dividend, ordinary dividends, qualified dividends. Qualified dividends gives you a better tax rate. Same here, ordinary dividends, qualified dividends, and then here's the information for their tuition payments. So I typically start out, it doesn't really matter where you input it with the tax software or the reconciliation. I think I usually start with the reconciliation, W-2 wages, try to follow along with the box 1 wages, federal tax withholdings, Medicare wages, state wages, state withholdings, dividend amounts, ordinary, qualified. I just had it scheduled in here, even though this is, they take the standard deduction, payments, federal, state payments, and then this is their state reconciliation. And this is the front page of the 1040. And we'll match it once I look into the tax software. So in here, once you get the information, you're going to have to input their basic stuff like their name, birth date, occupation, married filing jointly, same with their spouse. They indicate that they had no foreign accounts, no digital assets. Here's their address, residents of Maryland. No dependents. Here are their wages. Even though I'm using Drake, you could use any software. It should be pretty similar. You essentially match the boxes, wages, federal tax withheld, state. I made up the state ID number, state wages, and I did that for each of the W-2s. And then, of course, did that for the the dividend income, ordinary dividends, qualified dividends, and did it for both of them. And then one thing that while I'm re-recording this is that I messed up. I typically don't deal with education credits. Most of my clients are business clients. But some people do pay tuition, or pay their kids tuition. And so you'd enter in who the student is, or tax information, how many years you've taken the American Opportunity Tax Credit, because you can only take it for up to 4 years. This person's already taken up for 1 year. They paid $16,000 in wages. You got to click all these boxes, or else the credit won't flow through, and that's why I had to redo this. Indicating that they received a 1098-T. They also have documentation to substantiate the expenses, and did a little bit of due diligence. And there's also a fast worksheet, which I don't really use, but that was just part of the practice information that they had. And this was part of the tax organizer, where it talks about 1098-T, American Opportunity Tax Credit was taken for 1 year, the wages. So going back to this, we'll see what it looks like. Typical information up here. All this should be the same for every Form 1040. their W-2 wages, their qualified dividends, regular dividends, take the standard deduction. Taxable income is right there. Their taxes is $20,907. Here is the credit for the American Opportunity Tax Credit on Schedule 3, $750 right there. So if you look at the Form 8863, this is the education credits. So they actually got $1,250. The refundable portion is $500, and then the rest of it is a credit against their taxes. So you'll see right here, $750 credit reduces their taxes, and then down here you have a refundable credit of $500, and so therefore, all in all, net tax owed is $20,157. Well, not net, but minus what they've already paid from their W-2s plus this $500 refundable credit, and they are overpaid about $4,543. For their Maryland, they start off with the federal adjusted gross income. Maryland has this subtraction where if you are a dual income, where is this? You are a two-income married couple, you get up to like $1,200 as a subtraction. So there's that. And then you also get a Maryland standard deduction. It's not the same as federal, but it's $5,450. And then you get exemptions for each person, which was $1,600 a person, $3,200 total. There's your taxable Maryland income. And Maryland has their taxes right here, or calculated for you, $7,580 plus based off of your county. There's also local taxes. So based on which county, based on your address, you also have to pay local taxes. All in all, you have to pay $12,705 in Maryland. Truth be told, I don't do a lot of Maryland taxes, but based off of what the software is calculating and the information I provided, $12,705 is what is owed to Maryland. No taxes were withheld because that's just the assumptions we made, and also the Drake tax software examples told you suppress the state tax return. But that's a redo of this. Oh, and also to match, $12,705 is Maryland taxes owed, and then federal should be a refund of $4,543. And if I check my reconciliation, $4,543 is the refund since everything matches: wages, dividends, standard deduction, taxes. There's the education credit and the $500 refundable education credit. For Maryland, there's a $1,200 subtraction, $5,450 standard deduction, $3,200 exemption, state income, Maryland tax, local tax, tax due $12,705. So hopefully that is helpful. If there's any questions, please leave it in the comments.